Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jan. I have Andrew and Nathan with me this time. What's up, guys? What's
Howdy,
exciting?
howdy.
Got the full crew in the house today.
God damn.
We got the analysis expert too. So Jan and I don't have to look at the charts and fumble over what it actually might mean. I don't know if you got to see the video from Tuesday, but our analysis of the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts was just tier one stuff.
Yeah, we got Bears Andrew here. What's up?
Wow. It was good to be bearish last week. So I think it's more or less the same. Obviously, it's a big release finally to know what the tariffs are looking like. I think there's going to be obviously more uncertainty based on just what the other countries are going to do now. Like how is everyone going to retaliate? So I think that's going to cause a bit of back and forth. So I don't think we're quite out of the weeds yet. But it is nice to finally get the resolve of this big kind of anticipated event. So maybe the market is going to start bottoming. Who knows? I personally think we're going to see a little bit more downward pressure a little bit. And then hopefully by mid-April, getting into May, we can set some kind of structural bottom. But let's see.
Yesterday was, as expected, extremely volatile day. We saw some major swings. I think total top to bottom on the Wix was like 8.5% on Bitcoin. Ended up closing negative. Are you one of the traders that trades days like that, or did you stay clear of the markets yesterday?
No, I just stay clear. I clear my books. I make sure I have all my stops and stuff ready. If I'm already in trades, and then I just wait, let the dust settle. Because the volatility is too much for me for my trades, and then it's going to swing up and down, and nobody really knows which direction it's going to go. So I'd rather just let it cool off, let the market structure come in, and then give us a cleaner signal.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I'm not a trader, and trading on a day like that, I imagine, would just be absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have the charts here for the equities, right? And this is the kind of volatility that I was talking about where, the U.S. opens up pretty strong. I mean, it actually opened up pretty weak first. So we had the sell-off. Then we had the pump. So then this is kind of that classic, buy the rumor, sell the news event, right? So we kind of rallied up. And then as we got the announcement, the market just fucking nuked itself. And this is kind of what I was worried about, this particular price action right here, where I was like, okay, whatever we're seeing right now, we can't really trust and believe until after the event. And so, as you can see, we just kind of got smacked down. Although we are coming into these reload zones, this is kind of where we would want to see some kind of support start stepping in. As you can see, Dow still has a little bit of ways to go before it's in the reload zone. Small caps are kind of suffering right now. But, what we want to see is W structures. We want to see double bottoms here before we can start calling any kind of bottoms or any kind of direction. I think right now the market's still kind of bleeding. And until we see how U.S. opens tonight, we're not going to know whether this is going to be a continued selling tonight. It might be. I personally think it's going to be we're going to keep selling until at least tomorrow, which is we have the economic data coming out for non-farm payrolls and unemployment rates. So maybe that puts a bit of a pause in the selling. Otherwise, if the expectations are lower or whatever, then we'll probably see continued selling, and then they'll cross over to crypto as well. And as you can see with crypto, market did sell off, but today we are starting to chill out again. I still think it's still quite early to call a bottom or anything. This looks like a railroad track, pretty consistent here. So obviously the market's trying to defend this level here, these lows. But right now, I honestly don't have a setup. The only thing I do have is this buy signal that we got on the hash ribbon signal last week. So that's a very promising sign. Usually it takes, a couple weeks or so before things like that pan out. And we are still playing against this bullish divergence that we had. So personally, I think crypto-wise, it's only a matter of time before these start turning. But again, we have to wait for some kind of W, some kind of double bottom structure to give us that clear signal. And I don't think Bitcoin and ETH can rally if the equities are going to continue falling. So if the equities can turn here and also start, rallying to the upside, then I think crypto has a pretty good chance as well. But as of right now, we're like in location wise, right? Like the green boxes, those are our reload zones. That's kind of where we want to be hunting longs. We came and tagged it like pretty much on the dot and it bounced right out. So I'm thinking like we're probably gonna have to come back into this reload zone area and then hopefully get some kind of structure. And then until then, I think we're just kind of sitting on our hands right now. Ethereum, same thing with Ethereum. We had that nice pump going into the event and then pretty much sell off on the event day. Surprisingly, we actually just came and pretty much held this 88.6 level. So we came and tagged it a couple times now and we're holding. And it seems like the market's trying to put in a bottom here, perhaps. But again, we're still pretty early, right? Like we need to start seeing like W's. Once we get the W's, then we know that the structure is in, and then we have a bit of a chance, kind of like how we see a W back here, right? That's kind of what we're looking for. So until then, like there's really nothing to do here. We're just waiting for prices to consolidate, and we're still letting the dust settle. So it's only been 1 day since the event. I think we'll probably have to wait like a week, really, realistically, to kind of see how things are going to settle. But as of right now, we're just waiting, patiently waiting. We are in the reload zone technically right now as well on this large range. So this is where we should start seeing some kind of support, structural bottoms start to come in. And that's if the bulls are ready to step back in. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, at least in Bitcoin and ETH. When I look at the altcoins, there's not much to really rave about. I think a lot of things are just kind of getting washed again right now. We had all these like W's try to come in a couple of weeks ago, and essentially they all just kind of got wiped out. So I don't think we're in that environment to chase anything or try to front run dips right now. I think we're better off just waiting, let the dust settle again, and wait for some like clearer structure and signal. Because even like if you look at the dominance charts, right, like Bitcoin dominance is just ripping higher and higher. Sorry, I can't see that, but we're climbing, we're going higher. All indexes are all breaking down, falling down. We're about to break these lows that they made a couple of weeks ago. So not the most bullish case for altcoins right now, but
Well, you at least have better graphs than me and Nathan for sure.
Now that we've seen that hash ribbons indicator fire off, how important is it that we don't break March's low of whatever it was, 76.5K there?
I would say it's pretty important. I mean, if we lose that low, as long as like the signal doesn't start capitulating again, I think we might be okay. I wouldn't be surprised if they wash those lows because I know a lot of people are eyeing that like 75, 72K area right now. So maybe they push it down. That's the final kind of wash, and then we kind of go back up. But yeah, hard to say right now. I mean, I personally would not want to lose that low. I would hope that we just come back down into this reload zone, hold that 79K. There's a nice candle body to kind of like defend it there. And then by the time it gets over here, maybe that 200 SMA will come up as well. It acted as good support last time. So hopefully, if prices do come back down, we can hold back within this range. But again, we just have to wait for these W's, like just wait till we get these little structures. And then they'll kind of help us give us a better direction. Weekly charts don't look that good right now. That's like the easiest way to tell if like a market's turn, in my opinion, is like you look at the weekly charts and then you just kind of look like, is there a W working on the weekly yet? No. So I think we're still quite a bit of a way. Usually when you get these like weekly W's, that's kind of how you know the bottoms or tops are in. Usually once you get the weekly M's, it's kind of done. Once you get the W's, you're back in. So we still have a bit of time before those charts develop. So
Makes sense. Yeah, from my side, I think we will go sideways for a while, and then let's see. At least like usually with these tariffs, like the first news we dumped a lot. The second news it didn't affect that much, and now we're again like more and more of these news come out. I think they affect the market less and less. Obviously, it depends on how much liquidity is going out of the market, but at least it could be worse.
Yeah. I mean, they said that about $2 trillion got wiped out again in the stock market yesterday. So that's quite a bit. Seems like we're seeing a lot of these $1 trillion wipeouts. So like, you can only imagine how much the public's getting wrecked right now.
Yeah.
Um,
But remember, like, there's always someone on the opposite side. So when someone says that there's $2 trillion that went away, there's always someone betting against that, right? So
True.
actually, someone gained 2 trillion.
The
So yeah,
bankers.
I don't know. Like you're saying that the market dumped and we lost a lot of money, but there's always other way around. Like there's always someone
True.
that is gaining. But yeah,
Yeah.
Well, talking about kind of timing on when we see these bottoms, Eric Crown had some good statistics in his video this week about historical April bottoms, and for months that ended positive. So in other words, if we're hoping to see April in positive, we would expect or want at least to see that that low. The average is just under 9 days. So still plenty of time on of that. We're only 3 days in, so gives us almost another week to hopefully see those lows. Obviously, these are just statistics. That's nothing set in stone, but going off historical data, we'd hope to kind of see those lows come in next week, which sounds like with the schedule we talked about with the news, hearing what other countries are going to do in terms of reciprocated tariffs and how that's all going to shake out. That kind of makes sense in that timeline there. So hopefully next week we get some more clarity and we can see those W's. That right side leg on Bitcoin on the weekly, that bottom of that W start to form and put in a foundation to start climbing out of this hole that we've created down from 110K back in January there. So some other events coming kind of this week that we talked about a bit. You mentioned we've got the non-farm payrolls, we got unemployment rate for March, and then probably the thing that will have the most impact on the market is Powell is going to be speaking tomorrow. Obviously, it's not an official FOMC meeting, but people will be listening. The markets will be listening how dovish, how hawkish he is on what's going on with around the tariffs and the market in general. Because at the end of the day, we're all sitting here, we're waiting for rates to get cut and the money printer to start going burr again before we see any sort of crazy upside action. So that speech Friday could be a very, very good indicator of what's going to be coming in the next few weeks here.
yeah, I heard. I saw some pre-market news about unemployment that it's actually going down now because of tariffs, and that would make total logical sense because now when U.S. companies you have to produce the manufacturing inside of the country and also the deportation of like cheap labor. I think there's a lot of open jobs. So we're kind of manipulating the rates here or like the numbers. I don't know about you guys, but I think overall in the long term, this might be very good for the market itself. Obviously, like we're in full war, but let's see.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to take time, but in the long run, this comes out for the better overall. Now, how long does the pain go for? That's what's that's going to be the tough part. Can't we?
Andrew the Bear's laughing here. What's up?
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, the pain can last for a very long time, much longer than we can be solvent. So
Yeah,
All right.
I think it's one of those times you gotta be your professional hodler abilities are going to be tested here in the next few weeks.
aren't you guys tired of winning yet? Come on, guys. So much winning going on.
It's about winning the war, not the battle.
Dude, we were
Well, I
so
guess-
positive on our last show, man. Like this is getting negative right away.
I'm not trying to be negative, guys. I'm trying to just say how it is, man.
Getting on to the most important news topic of the day. Obviously, everyone's been talking about Vitalik announcing the reciprocal tariffs on all the Ethereum L2s here. Top story, obviously here. No, but obviously, we want to talk about the tariffs that are being put forward. So obviously, the big ones we've been looking at are China and the EU, along with some of our other major partners like Japan. Korea, Taiwan was a big one. Obviously, all of the chip manufacturers going on in Taiwan, a major factor there. But overall, I think probably very, very similar, maybe a little worse than what most people were expecting. The big question is, what do we see from China? What do we see from Europe in the coming days in terms of what are their responses going to be? We've already heard talks of Canada coming to the negotiation table, Vietnam coming to the negotiation table, offering to lower tariffs, to get those reciprocal tariffs lowered on them. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on what's the fallout going to be now that we've got the announcement?
There's going to be a lot of back and forth, I think. We're going to see a lot of countries coming back and being like, well, we're going to charge you guys for this now, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's going to just end here. And then, we don't know either. Like, they might actually change the tariffs that they're planning here right now too, right? Like, he's done it before where he's like, oh, actually, we're going to delay it now, right? So there's still a lot of uncertainty. But at the end of the day, I think this is like, this is a weird take, but like, I think this is kind of a bullish thing for the US, no? Like, the fact that like the US can actually like, make some more money this way. It's good for their economy. Maybe this boosts like US owned kind of businesses and stuff like that. Less on the imports. And then I don't know, maybe this actually does make a stronger economy for the US at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, my take is the similar kind of. I think it's like very bullish for US, and overall, like I think countries, they need to start sustainable. Like I think every country on this list, they have something that the US wants, and basically this is a negotiation room at the moment for Trump. And anyone that has like read anything that Trump has spoken, or even his book Art of the Deal, like this is straight up from the book. Like just, just make as ridiculous amount of like numbers, and they start cutting it down. And I think he's playing the same way as in his previous books and things. But yeah,
well, if you look at it,
go ahead.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you look at the tariffs, like he's pretty much just the half, like 50% of like the tariffs of whatever they're getting charged essentially.
yeah.
It's like, oh wow, okay, just 50%, okay.
Someone said that this is made with AI though, like so I don't know, like let's see, this might be the first time AI was used to make something like this happen.
Well, I mean, let's see if it works. Like at the end of the day, the US is like the largest like consumer market, right? Everybody wants to be in the US. Everybody wants to get their products in the US. Like, I don't think this is gonna really affect anything. I think like people are still going to try to get into the U.S. The consumers might have to pay a little bit extra now, perhaps, but this should boost revenue for the U.S. technically. So,
yeah, I've been seeing a lot of cope and seethe on LinkedIn and Twitter from especially Europeans. Not super happy about this. At the end of the day, you're 100% right. The U.S. is getting the bad side of these trade deals for a long time. A lot of other nations around the world have been living high on the hog on the backs of the American taxpayer. We're $36 trillion in debt. We have a $2 trillion deficit. It's not sustainable. We can't keep not only sending aid to all these countries and to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars while also getting the bad side of the trade deal. Like eventually, it's going to break the system. So something had to change. I think a lot of these tariffs are negotiating tools. As we've talked about, I'm sure we'll see major changes to a lot of these. We may see them delayed. We've already been talking about pushing, pushing these back to May when they go to effect. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think that the strategy is, with Doge and some of these other agencies, number one, to cut expenditures, and then to negotiate better trade deals and tariffs. They're going to bring more revenue in, and then we've also heard Trump announcing the largest tax cuts ever. He's mentioned 150K or less income will not be taxed. Corporate rates getting slashed down to like 15%, something like that, which we've seen in the past when they do cut these. Overall tax revenue goes up. So I think at the end of the day, it's a long-term plan to lower expenditures, raise revenues, try and cut this deficit down to where we can start working away at that $36 trillion in debt, because eventually this printing more money jacking, with the inflation rates around the world. That can only work so long. We can only kick this can down the road so long. If we don't start to fix some of this system here, we're going to see a much worse impact on the global economy.
Yeah, I think again, like Trump is a businessman. He's treating US as a business, and from his point of view, this is the right thing to do. Obviously, the left is now quite angry, so to say, about tariffs plus what Dodge is doing. But I mean, if I would be Trump, I understand him. I'm not saying it's correct or not, but I do understand his point.
Yeah, we're going to start seeing the backlash from this. China already announcing it's restricting companies from investing in the U.S. We're going to probably see more of this kind of stuff, reciprocal tariffs, coming, or I guess reciprocating on the reciprocal tariffs coming back to the U.S. here. Definitely need some more time to figure out how this is all gonna fall and where the markets end up, how long this is going to take to work itself out. So, all three of us have kind of talked about Q3 being where we see the potential for the bull market to really kick off again. I don't know, with these new announcements, you guys still sticking with those timelines?
Yeah, maybe even Q4 at this point now.
That's so
No, it's okay. I'm just kidding. I'm like, I honestly think the summer rally is coming. There's a lot of seasonality studies and like jam barometer stuff that we look at, and summer is kind of where we're supposed to see some kind of bottom come in and see a bit of a rally. So I'm hoping it's true.
You're not a sell in May and go away kind of guy?
No, I definitely still believe in sell in May, walk away. But after that, like final dip, I think that's it. I think we sets us up for the rest of summer.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's been bullish news after bullish news after bullish news in the markets. So I mean, there can only be so many stories like this until the market catches back up. Another huge announcement: Fidelity announcing a no fee retirement plan for adults that want to move money out of the traditional markets into crypto assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. So I mean, eventually this stuff is going to catch up and see that money start piling into crypto.
Yeah. No, this is again like what we talked on our last session and our last video. Like, there's more opportunities as a normal peep to basically invest in different crypto assets. I think this is becoming a norm. And obviously, when this happens, the yields and the returns are going to go down. So what we saw before in last cycles, that's not going to be the same as in these cycles. Obviously, we had memes, we had pumped fun. I don't know what's going to be next. Maybe space, gold, or something else. RWAs for sure. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish. I think there's a lot of good news. If you are in crypto, I think it's a perfect time to build still. A lot of opportunities.
Yeah, talking about, again, timing here, a great article out on Bitcoin versus the M2 money supply. We've talked about this a bit in the past with seeing the M2 money supply skyrocketing back to the upside here to some of the highest it's ever been. We mentioned on, I think it was either last week's or on Tuesday, we're seeing more stable coins on Binance and on the Ethereum network than we ever have. We're seeing companies like Berkshire Hathaway holding more cash than they ever have in the history of the company. And people are kind of creating these theories around the lag between Bitcoin. It's been pretty fairly closely correlated with the empty money supply and a delay. So we're looking at 70 or even 107-day offset on that, which puts us 2.5 to 3.5 months out, again, midsummer towards the end of summer to see that the Bitcoin catch up there, bottom out. And then start to rally. And if it does rally, I mean, that's a massive rally on the empty money supply. We start to see that money hopefully coming into risk on assets like Bitcoin. So as much as we hate to say it, waiting game.
Yeah, honestly, just sit on your hands and wait for those clear structures. I actually do like this like M2 money supply study. I like how the charts line up. I'm kind of more in that 107-day offset kind of, where like the bottom comes in kind of like in May, essentially. So you get like the kind of sell off, the final sell off, and then it kind of bottoms out. Because even when I look at the Jan barometer seasonality cycle for this year, it's kind of like in that May-ish area. So maybe that's where we have to head, before, and then maybe that's when QE can start starting, or you know.
Lot of factors lining up for some pretty amazing things to happen in the market in this coming months here this summer. Anything else on the overall markets before we dive into some kind of more niche down stories?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks, 1 week. Let's see how tariffs go.
Well, I think everybody was prepared for some April Fool's jokes this year. There's a few good ones out there that got posted. I saw some different people editing Trump tweets and some different announcements that were funny, but this one not so much because it wasn't a fake story. On the first, we saw this. I don't know what you want to call it—a hack, some sort of market malfeasance going on. Multiple different, I think almost a dozen different Binance listed projects within minutes of each other, all dumping hard to the downside. I've seen Binance getting blamed for this. I've seen various market makers from some of the biggest names in the space getting blamed for this. What have you guys heard about what's going on with this? A very obvious market manipulation that happened 2 days ago.
It's a pretty sick prank, but essentially what Binance did was they changed their margin requirements for a lot of these smaller like meme coins. And then based on that margin requirement that they changed, it essentially made all these market makers like force liquidate their positions. So like, all these guys had positions open and whatnot, but they were kind of like forced to close it because Binance decided to change the margin requirements for pretty much like all these coins here they were seeing. And then that obviously caused a little bit of a cascade sell. And then obviously the public saw it and then people just hopped on and then just kind of snowballed from there. That was my understanding of it. It wasn't anything malicious. It was just mostly like Binance messing around.
Well, yeah, that's what's going to come in. My question is like, who's to blame for this? Obviously, we don't like to see centralized entities having this much power where they can simply come in and as they would have every right to do, they're their own business and change their margin requirements, whether that is to manipulate the market or to protect their investors or whatever they're saying. But on the flip side, you have the market makers obviously taking, risky or riskier maybe than they should be positions, having these spots open where a simple change in policy from one centralized exchange like Binance causes this much, damage in the markets. I don't know if it's a failure of the system, if it's market makers getting greedy, if it's Binance manipulating the markets or getting greedy themselves. But I don't know what are these solutions to keep this kind of stuff from continuing to happen or being a potential vulnerability for us.
I don't think there's a solution. I think this could have happened also with Hyperliquid, to be honest, and with decentralized exchanges. Like if there is too much risk on the exchange side or decentralized exchange side, I understand why they do this. And I think also like where the graph looks so bad is that it was forced liquidation. And actually I was talking with some market maker and they said like, hey, it didn't actually matter. Like if they would have unwind the position, it would have actually looked much worse. So what Binance did like this was actually so to say, a good thing for the market maker. But obviously, like no matter what they do in this position, like it's gonna look ugly. And unfortunately, on this thing, there was one market maker that was heavily over leveraged. But I get it. This is part of the game. But again, in the end, the market makers were losing. We're losing actors.
It sounds to me like the blame kind of is being falling on the market makers. They shouldn't be taking positions like that where they're so overexposed or over leveraged to where these become possibilities. But I mean, we all know what market makers are and what their goals are at the end of the day. Outside of picking your market maker very carefully so these kind of things don't happen, I don't know what else you can really do.
Yeah, I mean, just don't list these coins.
Another the kind of take on this, not particularly just with those specific tokens that were involved in this incident on Monday or on the first there, or Tuesday it was, but overall Binance listings for 2025 have not been great. Only 3 out of the 27 tokens that have been listed this year on Binance are in the green. Everything else heavily red. I mean, I think the lowest one here is down almost 20%. Some of them almost at 100% down since listing on Binance. Is that just systematic of the overall market? Hasn't been great since January, or is this? Are we seeing the end of the Binance bump?
Yeah, I can go first. So first of all of these projects, they are supposed to having 1 year cliff, 2 year vesting. If you want to get listed on Binance, that's the terms that they're giving. But obviously, like, teams are doing what they want. They are unlocked tokens right away from the start, and it's a liquidity crunch overall, like everywhere. Like I get the founders, but I don't know. This looks very bad for Binance. I hope they change it. But I feel really bad for some of these projects. Like, if I would get listed on Binance, I would be so happy. Like, imagine the volume they have there. Imagine the possibilities. And then if you have returns like this doesn't look great. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel against the Binance at the same time. Like, hey, there is some malicious things, because obviously when you get listed on Binance, you have to give 5 to 10% of the supply right away for staking initiatives. So I mean, this is the result. But yeah, I don't know.
How's that? One of our core businesses here at Acquire.Fi is things like OTC operations, and a big part of that market is cash and carry trades, where on secondaries and things of that nature. How are this poor performance on Binance, one of the most popular markets to execute trades like that? How is that affecting what we're seeing on the OTC and secondaries market?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, like, before on the secondaries, you were selling SAFTs. So you were selling, like, obviously investors that invested in a project and they have 2 to 3 year vesting and cliff. But what we're seeing now is that actually the founders and teams are coming to us and be like, hey, we have to raise money and we have to do some OTCs. So at the moment, like, I would say the OTC and secondary markets are very hot. They're very good deals. And everything that is listed on Binance is getting like bids. And everything is not, let's say, Binance and OKX, those are good markets. But everything else is kind of like dead. But yeah, if anyone there wants some good OTC, please come to us. We are happy to facilitate.
Yeah, so it seems like almost for founders that need money, regardless of the positive or negative effect that a listing on Binance might have, it does open up some alternative funding options for them.
No, absolutely, and obviously, like, if you're on Binance, there's endless liquidity. So, but yeah, let's see how long this lasts. Like, maybe they're gonna be like taking this down at some point.
Yeah. Well, the last story I have pulled up here for today is another, again, more bullish news coming out on the crypto side of the market. Say Network has unveiled its development foundation to speed up institutional crypto adoption in the United States. Say obviously one of the up and coming, very popular networks in the space right now, as part of that L1 war that's going on. More and more projects are starting to shift focus back to the U.S. For the last probably eight or so years, it's been almost illegal, if not officially on the books. We've seen what the SEC has done to any projects that had a major foothold in the United States. What kind of an impact do you guys see bringing the U.S. back in as a retail market for crypto having on the long term upside for this industry?
Mr. Andrew the Bear, let's go.
Oh, I mean, it's always good. I mean, like I said, the U.S. market is where everybody wants to be, right? So, the more we can get the U.S. side to come on board, the better it will be long term.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Wall Street is there, the biggest markets are there, all the biggest foundations are there. What else is there to say? And also, like, the tax cuts that are coming, plus stable coins. Like, all this is like very bullish. We're just we as human beings, we look at short term instead of looking at long term. I think if I look 4 years forward, I think this is going to be very bullish.
Yeah, and for those of us watching that are getting tired of hearing American story after American story after American story, It's not my fault. It's not me because I'm the American. It's literally that's what the news is focused on. The reality is, as you guys mentioned, it is the biggest economy in the world and really drives all markets, not just the crypto market. So if you're getting tired of seeing all these U.S. stories coming out, well, hopefully, as we said, 6 months from now, it's all pumping the market, and you guys will start to feel that winning finally. So
No, I agree.
awesome.
I agree.
Any market notes? Any final Bitcoin analysis on the charts here that we want to take a look at before we wrap things up for the day?
No, I mean, I've been looking through altcoins and stuff. Haven't really seen anything looking too good. Seeing more dumps coming in actually. Yeah, just no real trade setups that I can find. Actually, the one name that I'm actually eyeing is Ondo right now, just because I did see it list on. You know how Binance has like the voting thing for listing stuff now.
Yeah.
So I did see Ondo on there. So I was thinking, if it can get it listed, it can get a nice initial pop off and then just a quick sell off. That's the thing about these like central exchange listings is like you'll get the first initial pop and then it's just complete sell off. So I just want that first initial pop. That's all I want. That's all I'm asking for.
We love getting you on here, man. I know for those watching, we only have our chart experts on once a week. But if you want to see more from Andrew, he's got his own trading group. He does his own streams. Almost are you streaming daily now, or how many times a week?
No, I do it 3 times a week on the Coiners community. So I do a lot of mentorship and teaching over there. And then I have just my own personal channels and like a daily journal that I just kind of post my thoughts and my trades and stuff. So yeah,
we'll be sure to post those links in this when it goes up on X and on YouTube. So if you want to get more analysis more regularly, that's where you're going to want to find Andrew. Lots of great calls in there. I'm in one of your trade groups. A lot of good dudes in there. It's not just Andrew posting. Got a lot of smart dudes posting trade setups. General talking shit on the markets. It's a good time.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think that's probably it for us today. Double feature this week. We had two videos going up. As long as there's plenty of news in the markets, which there's been no lack of breaking stories, we can probably keep doing these videos more regularly throughout the week. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to get more insights and be more up to date with what's going on with Acquire.Fi, the moves that we're making, and get access to some investment opportunities, check out our Tier 5 group. What's the minimum holding requirements to get in there, Jan?
42,000 ACQ.
42,000 ACQ. It's as easy as that. Pick up a bag. And you can get yourself a part of the Tier 5 group. Again, great group of individuals, all seasoned investors, crypto OGs, a lot of good insights on the market, on how economic events are going to be affecting the price of things, calls, new projects. We do some community fundraising in there. So overall, good group to be a part of. If you want to find out more about that, we've made plenty of posts on it, or you can message us on X there.
Thanks, guys, and hope to see you next week.
Perfect. I'll see you guys next week.